Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to have a closer look at the Soundcore Life A2 NC. These affordable true wireless earbuds offer loads of features for the money, so let's jump right into it. The Soundcore Life A2 NC buds are medium-sized and weigh 6.3 grams each. I've seen lighter earbuds around and there are much heavier ones too, but these ones have ear wings which can stabilize the buds in your ears, so weight is not an issue here. And I've got a fairly secure fit myself, but it's worth experimenting with the 3 different sized wings and the 5 sets of silicone ear tips if you want to achieve the best fit for your own ears. The buds are made entirely from plastic, but their design is much more interesting than most of its competitors, and their build quality is well above average too. The IPX5 rating makes these buds usable for workouts and even running, as long as you got yourself a tight fit with the right combination of tips and wings. But I wouldn't do anything too intense, as the fit in my ears was not 100% secure. Sure, it's tight enough to stay in place when walking around or commuting. And the one thing I have to mention here is that I found the large ear tips the most comfortable to use, but the extra large tips provided better noise isolation and a more secure fit. The downside is that I couldn't use the extra large tips for longer than like 20 minutes or a half an hour tops, because they were simply too big and uncomfortable in my ears. And using the larger tips resulted in having more bass in the sound than I personally like, so you better keep that in mind too. The case is a bulky one and not really pocket friendly unless you have loose pockets, of course. It's all plastic and it feels a bit cheap to me. The lid has scuff marks on it after only a couple of weeks of use, but at least the lid opens and closes firmly enough, so that's a good thing. There are really strong magnets that keep the buds inside the case, but it's still fairly easy to take them out if you grab them by their wings. You get battery status LEDs on the front, a USB-C port hidden behind the rubber cover on the back, and the pairing button at the bottom of the case. I know that the plug on the charging port is supposed to keep it protected from dirt, but it's a pain in the neck to use as it gets in the way every time you want to charge the case. The buds will last about 7 hours with one charge with ANC off, and they will die after about 5 hours with the ANC turned on. You can fully recharge the buds an additional 4 times using the case, bringing the total playtime up to 35 hours with ANC off and around 25 hours with ANC on. 15 minutes of quick charging gives you 1.5 hours of use. That's not a bad performance altogether, but the lack of wireless charging might be a deal breaker for some of the potential buyers. In terms of connection, we get Bluetooth 5.0 with support for SBC and AAC. I had not experienced connection issues or signal dropouts of any kind. Pairing was easy to all sorts of devices. The movie watching experience is only okay, but there is just a tiny bit of delay in the sound. You can still watch Netflix and YouTube, of course, but games, however, are a different story. With a fairly noticeable lag, these buds are probably not the best option for hardcore gamers. Single bud mode works like a charm. Switching between buds is smooth without any hiccups. There are 3 mics on each bud to achieve the best possible phone call quality. I'm not saying they failed to deliver on that promise, but I've certainly heard louder mics before. There is nothing really wrong with the tonality of my voice, and there is only a minimal distortion present. Let's switch back to the Rode NTG5 mic for a second while I turn on some noise of a coffee shop, so you have a good reference before I switch back to the Life A2 NC. Now, the noise cancellation does a decent job at suppressing the ambient chatter, but there is some fuzziness in my voice, which is not the most pleasant, but that's pretty much what you can expect from most buds in this price range, so I guess that's okay. And last but not least, let's hear some traffic noise through the speakers on the Rode NTG5. And after switching back to the mics on the buds, you can hear how well street noise is handled by the noise cancelling algorithm on the Soundcore Life A2 NC. And this concludes the mic quality test of the buds. And now let's talk about the controls. We have a touch-sensitive interface on each bud. The grey circular area around the logo registers touches pretty accurately without any mistouches or accidental touches. Not having any function assigned to a single tap action helps with avoiding accidental touches for sure, but it reduces the usability of the controls, which in my opinion would be more important. Nonetheless, Soundcore does not give you too many options and you are stuck with the double tap and the touch and hold actions. You can control play, pause, tracks, volume, the voice assistant, phone calls and even ambient modes, but not all these at the same time. The way I set up the buds in the Soundcore smartphone app is that I have play, pause, ambient and track controls but no volume and no voice assistant. You can of course combine these features to your liking, but either way you will have to sacrifice one or two functions and that's no good. And to make it even worse, there is no auto play pause either, so replacing the play pause function with anything else in the control setting is not an option either. I said it in my Inekfire A9 review that I would rather have full functionality of the controls without auto play pause than having crippled controls with in-ear sensors. Now, here we get the crippled controls without the auto play pause, so that could hardly get any worse. In the app itself, you can set up and customize the ambient modes and the sound of the buds too. The EQ has tons of presets, 22 to be exact, all of which are customizable and you can build your own custom EQ curves from scratch and save as many of those as you wish. We don't get the more comprehensive set of EQ features of the Liberty Air 2 Pro, but since the Life A2 NC buds cost significantly less, it only makes sense to cut down on features. But still, this is probably the best EQ you can get for the money. But the active noise cancellation settings are pretty much the same as on the Liberty Air 2 Pro. We got 3 modes: noise cancellation, transparency and normal, which means no ANC. In transparency mode you can choose between fully transparent and vocal mode. Fully transparent mode lets in all sorts of noises, while vocal mode focuses on human voices only and filters out some of the hum and rumble, and it does quite a good job at that. But regardless of settings, transparency mode sounds kind of natural without over-amplifying the surrounding noises. Moving on to noise cancellation, it has 3 different settings: transport, indoor and outdoor. Transport is the strongest in terms of cutting down on low-frequency rumbles and traffic noise. Indoor is meant to be used in an office or a coffee shop with ambient chatter around you, while the outdoor mode is supposed to be used, well, outside of course. Outdoor mode does a decent job with eliminating wind noise, but it's not nearly as effective at lower frequencies as transport mode. I tested the noise cancellation on my Mini DSP headphone testing rig and I got very good results when playing airplane cabin noise through my speakers. Before turning on transport mode, I measured the sound pressure level of 85 decibels and that went down to around 62-63 decibels, which is one of the best results in its class. In fact, it can easily compete with higher-end ANC earbuds in that scenario. Indoor mode is supposed to filter out more chatter than transport mode, but I found that leaving the noise cancellation on transport mode all the time delivers more consistent results, and that will also have an effect on sound quality as well, but more about that in a second. So transport mode provides you with the best noise cancellation in general, except for wind noise, which is handled best in outdoor mode. The ANC feature is one of the best in its class, but it has one major flaw, and it's that the ANC alters the sound of the buds. And I'm not talking about a subtle change, but a significant shift in sound signature. In normal mode, the bass simply goes away and the sound becomes bright. Turning on transport mode within ANC brings back the bass and everything feels more balanced, but switching to indoor mode causes yet another jump in the sound signature. I found this shift in the sound more than annoying and I decided to just leave the ANC on in transport mode and kept listening to the buds that way. Soundcore fixed some of the issues I had with the Liberty Air 2 Pro in a recent software update, and these buds have been out for a while too, so at this stage I can only hope they will do the same with the Life A2 NC. But regardless of all these issues, the sound quality is quite okay. In fact, it's better than just okay, as long as I used the second largest ear tips with a less than super tight fit, and of course I left ANC on in transport mode. The 11mm biocellulose drivers deliver a dynamic sound with full of energy. The bass is strong and impactful, but not overly heavy or boomy. Mids are a little bit pushed back in the mix, but not to the extent that would make the buds sound hollow, and vocals sound relatively full-bodied. Highs are detailed and fairly balanced, but sibilance can get a bit too much of a good thing at maximum listening levels. But the buds can get quite loud and I do not recommend listening to them at max volume anyway, so that shouldn't be an issue for most of us. Imaging is great, but the soundstage is small and narrow. It's a typical coming from inside my head type of sound. But it's entertaining and suitable for most genres, but maybe modern music with loads of bass is what sounds best on the buds, especially during workouts when you can only benefit from the rumbling bass and the energy that comes with it. fit. And on top of all this, you get probably the best EQ feature in its class, so you can tailor the sound of the buds to your liking. However, when I use the extra large tips, the bass just overstepped the line for me a little by becoming way too strong and boomy. So again, you are better off experimenting with the seal of the different sized ear tips before judging the sound of the buds. But apart from the sound shift issues related to the ANC and the fit, I like how these buds can sound. But what can I say about the Soundcore Life A2 NC earbuds in general? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. The design and build quality of the buds are great, but I cannot say the same about the case itself. Their battery life is good, but there is no wireless charging. The connection is okay, but the phone call quality is only average at best. The touch controls themselves work fine, but their functionality is limited and we get no in-ear sensors either. The ANC is effective for the most part, but it has a rather substantial effect on the sound signature of the buds. But the Life A2 NC can sound great as long as you use certain settings in the ANC and have a proper fit too. And that's where these buds failed me, but let me explain why. As I said, I found the comfort and the sound the best using the large ear tips. But the passive and active noise isolation work best with the extra large tips, which also gave me a more secure fit, but they were less comfortable to use. So I either have to sacrifice sound quality and comfort or noise isolation and fit. I would pick sound and comfort 9 times out of 10, so it's not that big of a deal after all, but still having to make a trade-off like that is never going to make me happy. But you might get better luck with the buds, and with all the stars aligned you can get a good looking, great sounding, comfortable earbuds with better than average ANC, EQ and software settings. And all that for $80 euros or pounds, or at least that's the official price on Soundcore's website at the moment of filming this review. For more up-to-date prices you can check out the affiliate links in the description below. And that's it for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, just drop a comment below and I will do my best to answer it. Have a wonderful day everyone, and thank you for watching. See you next time.